If you combine Monster Hunter and Fortnite, that's pretty much what this game is. After a good 20 plus hours of playing, I have quite a bit to talk about, but let me give you the thesis statement first. Wild Hearts is truly an interesting and entertaining game that adds a unique twist to the hunting genre, building contraptions mid-combat that allow for counterattacks, mobility, healing, and more that I think will be a good competitor for the Monster Hunter franchise in the future. Ironically, this game is actually finished. Like, there really is no bugs as far as I'm concerned, there's enough content to justify the price, and there's no weird business model attached to it. So let's get into it. My name is Josh, also known as Iguana, and here are my thoughts on Wild Hearts, or whatever I'm gonna name this video. First, let me give major points to the character creation. I can adjust my butt size, and that's something that every game should have. Let me also be upfront and say that I was not liking the experience at first. I had a rough time understanding the dodging mechanics specifically. I was trying to play the game like Monster Hunter, and I realized quickly that's not going to get me far. Once I realized how big of an idiot I was, I started to use the contraptions more often in order to counter certain attacks or block devastating blows. You can craft large walls or giant hammers, even a healing mist. There's a pretty decent variety. They are essential throughout the hunt. They are your sword and shield at the same time. After about 3 hours, it was second nature to utilize them within the fight. And what I appreciate about these contraptions is that they are necessary. Too many times have I played a game with an interesting mechanic that didn't really matter in the long run, or I didn't have to use that often. Wild Hearts' main song is to build amazing structures that enhance the experience in a brilliant way. Seriously, it's phenomenal, so much so that if the game didn't have it, it would be kind of mediocre in my opinion. You have your basic things too, like crates to jump off of or gliders, but if you stack them together, that's what creates the walls, the hammers, the bombs, things like that. What makes things difficult is that you have a limited supply. You have to go and mine threads in order to craft the necessary builds, but you can also beat the crap out of the kimono and they'll drop some as well. Although it's not recommended to solely rely on that. Trust me, I've tried it. It doesn't get you far. You also have this little robot guy that can not only drop some threads for you, but increase your capacity too. My problem is that Wild Hearts heavily relies on the contraptions in order for the player to effectively block or dodge, so when you run out, you're basically a sitting duck. It's very difficult to maneuver around without your crafting table. Even so, as I've played more, there is a steady income of materials that are granted throughout the fight, but it doesn't erase those crucial moments when you don't have them. And look, you can still dish out some crazy damage. I'm not saying that the weapon you carry is meaningless, but the contraptions are a major part of the hunt too. What you do depend on is using them in order to dodge or block attacks consistently. And this is where my biggest issue is. You can go on the offense with or without your Lego set, that's not an issue. But trying to dodge attacks without any contraptions to help is such an annoying disadvantage. There are barely any iframes for your rolls or slides. I got hit 95% of the time when I was within range of a kimono's attack. Mobility-wise, I felt sluggish when compared to the other monsters. It didn't feel like I had enough time or space to properly move out of the way. That's why the contraptions are so crucial. You can use the springs to dash away, create strong walls to block incoming attacks, but without it, you might as well be swimming in tar. That's why my first impressions weren't so hot, because I had no threads to build things and this boar would constantly chase me down. You see how big it is? That hitbox was insane. Now keep in mind, my weapon of choice is the 2,000 pound hammer, not exactly easy to carry around, much less dodge giant monster attacks. And this issue ties in very well with another problem that I have with the game, your healing items. To break it down to simpleton levels, you have 10 drinks that heal you at the start of a quest. When that runs out, you have to find these little saplings of healing water that'll drop 2 extra drinks for you to waste immediately. So imagine with me that you run out of healing water in the middle of a fight, and there are no saplings nearby to replenish it. What do? Do you call a timeout? Sorry, I'll be right back with my holy water. It's so annoying. As a matter of fact, the dodging mechanics that I have issues about wouldn't be as problematic if the healing wasn't a problem too. Conversely, I would still talk about the healing issue in this game if the dodging issue wasn't present. Now look, I totally understand the limitations. Unlimited heals or unlimited threads would make the game too easy and less engaging. However, the way they went about this wasn't the best choice if you ask me. I would say give us more iframes for rolling or sliding, just a little bit, nothing crazy, and I think they would solve a world of hurt, perhaps more mobility. Then again, I'm the one using the big boy hammer. Now when I write scripts, I like to write them as I'm playing the game, so I wrote that first part when I started the game. Now that I'm about 25 hours in, I would say, I can assure you that that's only in the beginning. When it comes to the dodging mechanics, yes, they're still kind of iffy here and there, but once you get used to everything, how to counter, how to move properly, it's really not that bad. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that. But besides healing and some of the dodging mechanics, those are really the only negative things I can say about Wild Hearts. I adore the kimono. I haven't fought every single one just yet, but from what I've experienced thus far, man, they are brilliant. Each one's design is better than the next. I love a game with good creature designs, and this game definitely has it. My favorite one being the Grit Dog thus far. This is a kimono who has the ability to create iron sand that sprouts from the ground or its tail. Each kimono has an individual second phase or rage state, Grit Dog enhancing his abilities to a spectacle. He can create earthquakes, giant bombs, or even his own wall to destroy in a giant AoE. Funny enough, when compared to Monster Hunter, the kimono are quite simple. I fought most of these guys maybe once or twice, and I can easily recall most if not all of their attacks. This isn't a bad thing, mind you. Wild Hearts is a shorter experience when it comes to hunting down the kimono, but every moment is thrilling. I love just the sheer creativity put into every single one, and I will definitely revisit the kimono in a future video. When it comes to the equipment such as armor, they have skills, yeah, but creating builds, there's really not much to do. But perhaps I haven't dived deep enough yet, so I'll refrain from making too many comments here. There is, however, a very interesting mechanic. Based on the armor you wear, you will sway towards the human or kimono path. Certain skills are locked behind a certain path, but you can add modifications to be more human or more beastly. That's pretty awesome if you ask me. It's very different from what I'm used to and what I've seen. And honestly, it works. It's very cool. Some of the armor looks incredible too. Others, not so much. When it comes to the weapons, there are 8 of them, me being the Hammerman for a majority of my run thus far. I mean, I like swinging big things and seeing big numbers. I'm a simple man. Recently though, I picked up the Claw Blade, which is pretty much ODM gear from Attack on Titan. And let me tell you right now, this is my favorite weapon in the game, without question. It's one of those weapons that all the tryhards will use because it's both stylish and effective. You know how I mentioned that dodging was a bit of an issue earlier? Yeah, that doesn't matter with this weapon. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, that one weapon feels this much better than the rest. Seriously, your maneuverability with this one weapon trivializes all the issues with dodging I had earlier. Maybe it's just because I was using the big boy hammer that I had this problem, like the complete opposite side of the spectrum. So do take it with a grain of salt, my issues with dodging. Again, I'm using a very big weapon for like 80% of my run so far, so maybe that's just me. And again, as you get used to the game, it becomes much easier to handle. I may or may not make a follow-up video about my review, but when it comes to these type of games, the first, I would say 10 hours, does a pretty good job representing the whole experience. It's not like it has a story to follow closely or anything like that. I basically just kind of skip through the whole thing. Funny enough, the better monsters are later in the game, which I'm excited to take down when I get the chance. I will say that Wild Hearts will not replace Monster Hunter, although we definitely need more games that'll be good competition, and Wild Hearts is the best one thus far to close that gap. Now, I like to do 2 scores, one based on what the developers were trying to accomplish, and one based on my personal preference. Wild Hearts, overall, does what it wants to do. Create an amazing experience fighting kimono and using contraptions to aid during your hunt. Every single monster feels unique and challenging to fight, while also providing great equipment to better yourself. The only issues I have is the dodging can suck sometimes and the healing mechanics are not well designed, but other than that, I'm giving this game a solid 9 out of 10. Wild Hearts is incredible and excels in the hunting genre even with those issues. Based on my personal preference, Wild Hearts is a solid 8. I love the game, obviously, but I would like more skills for better builds, a better balance between the weapons, and I want it to be longer. I know I haven't played the whole game yet, but I'm aware of most, if not all, the kimono at this time, and frankly, I wish there were more. However, if this is the first Wild Hearts game and there are more to come, then I am sure we will have a mighty franchise on our hands to play. Let me know what you guys think if you've played the game thus far. I do definitely recommend it, it's worth the price. And there will be, of course, more videos about Wild Hearts, as well as other challenge runs, reviews, things like that. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and of course, stay safe.